I'm done, I said, pushing my chair back from the table. I'm done pretending we're this perfect family where everyone is loved equally. I'm done trying to earn the attention you've always given him freely. I'm done with all of it. Don't expect me to come to any more family dinners. Don't expect me to keep playing this role of the grateful second best child. You're being selfish, Lillian, Mom snapped, her face flushing with anger. And mercenary. Is that all you care about, money? This isn't about money, I said, my voice shaking with emotion. This is about respect. You've made it crystal clear that you don't consider me your daughter, and you expect me to keep showing up with a smile, pretending everything's fine. Lucas sat there in uncomfortable silence, staring at his plate like it held all the answers to this mess. But of course, Sarah couldn't keep quiet. You're being ridiculous, Lillian, she said in that condescending tone I'd grown to hate. Everything about this is perfectly fair. You're just being moody and arrogant as usual, always making everything about yourself. Something inside me snapped. All those years of taking her subtle jabs, her superior smirks, her backhanded compliments, I was done. I turned to her, feeling a strange calm wash over me. You know what, Sarah? Stay out of this. You're not even really family, you're just someone who married in and thinks that gives you the right to judge everyone else. This is between me and my parents. The dining room went dead silent. Sarah's face crumpled, and right on cue, the waterworks started. She buried her face in her hands, shoulders shaking with sobs that sounded about as genuine as her designer knockoff handbags. How dare you speak to Sarah that way? Mom exploded, jumping to her feet. She's been nothing but kind to you. Dad's face had turned that dangerous shade of Rita remembered from childhood punishments. Get out, he growled. Get out of this house right now. Gladly, I said, standing up. Don't worry, it'll be the last time you have to throw me out. I won't be coming back. I walked out of that house without looking back. The sound of the door closing behind me felt like the period at the end of a very long sentence. That was the last time I saw any of them. 2 years passed in what felt like a blink. I met James at a coffee shop. He was the guy who accidentally took my oat milk latte, and we ended up talking for hours. He was different from anyone I'd ever known. He actually listened when I talked, really listened. When we got married, it was exactly the wedding I wanted, small, intimate, filled with James's wonderful family and our closest friends. No drama, no tension, no having to pretend. James's mom helped me pick out my dress, and his sister was my maid of honor. They felt more like family than anything I'd experienced in years. I didn't send invitations to my parents or Lucas and Sarah. Some of our relatives tried to convince me otherwise, telling me I'd regret it, that it was my wedding day after all. But I knew I'd made the right choice when I walked down the aisle and saw nothing but genuine smiles and happy tears. A year after the wedding, we were blessed with twins, a boy and a girl. The pregnancy wasn't easy, but James was there for every moment, every craving, every midnight panic about whether we'd be good parents. When the babies arrived, we made the decision together that I'd stay home with them. My marketing career could wait, these precious early years couldn't. My twins were growing fast, turning our quiet house into a playground filled with laughter and the pitter-patter of little feet. Life had fallen into a comfortable rhythm, playdates, preschool drop-offs, afternoon naps, and bedtime stories. I'd managed to create my own little bubble, carefully curated to keep the past where it belonged. I stayed in touch with a few relatives, the ones who understood my boundaries and respected them. Aunt Marie would come over for Sunday brunches, Uncle Pete would visit during holidays. They never pushed me about my parents or Lucas, and I never asked. When there were family gatherings, weddings, anniversaries, reunions, I'd politely decline if I knew my parents would be there. Sometimes I'd host small get-togethers at our house instead, where I could control who walked through my door. It wasn't perfect, but it worked. That Tuesday started like any other. I was in the kitchen cleaning up after breakfast while the kids were in the living room working on their latest masterpieces with crayons. The doorbell rang, and I assumed it was the Amazon delivery I'd been expecting. Instead, I opened the door to find my parents standing there. Lillian, Mom said, her voice wavering. They've missed you so much. I gripped the door frame, my knuckles turning white. Someone must have given them my address, probably Cousin Rachel, who'd been hinting at family reconciliation during her last visit. We want to see our grandchildren, Dad added, trying to peek past me into the house. They've waited so long. I found my voice surprisingly steady. No, you don't get to do this. You don't get to show up on my doorstep after 7 years of silence and expect to walk into my life, into my children's lives. They exchanged a look, that same look they'd shared at that last dinner 5 years ago. Something was off. I could feel it. Why are you really here? I asked, crossing my arms. Why now, after all this time? They hesitated. Mom opened her mouth, then closed it again. Dad shifted uncomfortably on his feet, looking everywhere but at me. Finally, Dad cleared his throat. Something's happened, Lillian. The truth came out about Sarah. She's been unfaithful to Lucas for years, apparently. Mom's tears were flowing freely now. Lucas found her with someone else. He had the children tested, Lillian. The DNA results, she choked back a sob, neither of them are his. The world seemed to tilt sideways for a moment. I remembered those kids, the ones my parents had doted on, the ones who'd been used as proof of Lucas's superiority, the ones who'd been part of the reason I'd been written out of the will. The perfect grandchildren who weren't actually related to us at all. Mom wasn't finished. There's more, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Lucas got tested himself, and she looked at Dad for support. He's infertile, Lillian. He can never have children of his own. I stood there in my doorway, trying to process this information while the sounds of my own children playing drifted from the living room. The irony wasn't lost on me. The golden child, the son who could do no wrong, would never have biological children of his own. Those children, Dad said, his voice hardening, they're not our grandchildren. Never were. They're just strangers. He leaned in, his eyes alight with a newfound urgency. Like your twins, they are true grandchildren. They're real blood. They're our only chance now at having proper grandchildren. I felt physically sick. For 10 years, these people had been grandparents to those kids. They'd attended every birthday party, bought every Christmas present, plastered their social media with proud photos. And now they were just erasing them like they never existed. Do you even hear yourselves? My voice came out sharp, cutting.